Katie, the thought occurs to me that we should be talking about the work in the workplace, especially since you invited me over to Holland in 1999 to experience the application of the work in a business training curriculum.
Yes.
And my thought is that we could discuss how this could be a valuable tool for business organizations, in fact organizations of all kinds. It also occurs to me that people just reading about the work, 4 questions and a turnaround that leads to clarity, may be a bit simplistic, non-entertaining, banal. In a business climate where we're used to motivational speakers. So let's just go back to how it came to you that you took the work into the workplace.
Well, people wanted it, and also people were afraid if they questioned their mind that they would lose everything, that they would give everything away and go off on a mountaintop and just drool and just meditate. And my experience is the extreme opposite of that. And if a person has a goal and it's good and it serves humanity, I believe that love is action. And when a person has a goal that would benefit humanity, their family, their friends, then what stands in the way of them fulfilling that goal? Nothing but their fearful thinking. Their fear, that's the only thing that ever stopped anyone from having everything, anything that they wanted. So when we can't have what we want, we become bitter, we blame other people, we steal, we become resentful. So I say, if a person has a goal, they can set that goal and question anything, any of their thoughts that would interfere with that goal.
Katie, do you find that just doing the 4 questions and the turnaround is enough for companies used to all the razzle-dazzle of corporate training programs and big, thick manuals and charismatic speakers?
Yes, we go in with just the 4 questions, and what happens, rather than business trying to change all of their employees, they can take these questions to them, and when a person's internal life changes, when clarity's there, which is what these questions bring, reveal, make available to each of us, when that happens, that's how change takes place. As soon as we realize what is as true or truer than what we believe, my goodness, we're brilliant.
What are some of your experiences of working in the corporate environment?
That it works.
Okay.
But my favorite experience is when people realize, after they've answered the questions, when people realize how simple it is to see, like, problems they have never, ever, ever, ever seen, like solutions, I would say. Solutions to the problem that 100 people can't find. You do the work and it stands out like a sore thumb. It's immediate. Everyone sees it. It's available and it's so simple. They wonder why it took so many years to find it. But my favorite experience is a man called me in to work with his company, and I said, I'll come. And what I require to do that is that all of your employees, your supervisors, are able to judge you on paper. And this man was so courageous. He said, well, if that's what it takes, I'll do it. And so they were very frightened at first. And he stood there and said, no, just go for it. Just go for it. And so they all judged him on paper. And I asked them to read it one by one as he stood there, took it in, without crosstalk. The instructions were for him to simply say, thank you, and to go in and see where they were right. Well, by the time the entire table had read everything, there were certain things that showed up consistently. And he was amazed, and he's a very intelligent man. And because they had been so honest, even though they were fearful, because he had been so honest, he could see it. We can't change what we can't see. There's no way we can change what we haven't realized. So he got to see consistently from his employees, from his top management, where he could change. And that changes the entire system. And so then he was able to, they were able to question that, each statement, and turn it around and see where they were all doing what he did and how that slows down the company's profits. Also, this company split off. They took all the hot dogs, all the men that were just so intelligent, so young, so smart, so brilliant, and the others were just too slow for them. And they went off to another system, like a sister company, and they were outdoing them by millions. And the part of the company that they left because they were so slow, just not with it, and I worked with that company. They didn't need me. The ones that split off, the hot dogs, they didn't need me. They just knew it all. So I continued each year to work with these people, and they certainly outdid the hot dogs. Financially, they just blew them away. It was really quite wonderful to watch how clarity, it takes so little effort, and you get so much done.
Your way in the companies, is it the same as just doing the questions and the turnaround as you would do with individuals?
Absolutely. And they come up with their own format. You know, they'll give you their problems, and then you can just walk in and question them. This particular company, I would go in, when I did come to town, I would go in and take the boss's office, and people would sign up for 30-minute sessions, and they would come in just voluntarily on their own, just one by one by one. And I would just stay as many days as it took to sit with all of them. But it wasn't about the business always. You know, it's about management, and then it all went away. And then management was about the employees, and then it all went away. And then it was left with my husband, my wife, my children, this death in the family, this divorce, working one-on-one with people. And that certainly will shoot the profits to the sky when we don't take our home, our personal life into the office, or our office into the home. It's a wonderful way to coexist with our private lives and our corporate lives.
It also occurs to me that people that want to take the work into the workplace, it almost challenges you to become fearless, because we are trained to be entertainers, and so we're looking for the next entertaining strategy, the next entertaining technique. But here we're just taking the questions, and it provides a different kind of space.
Yes, entertainment's it's a wonderful thing, but mostly what corporations are interested in profits. And what employees are interested in is company profits, so they continue to draw a paycheck. So maybe this isn't exciting, I don't know, it is for me. But to answer a question and experience the clarity and freedom and fearlessness that comes with that is that's very exciting, and people begin to notice. But profits, that's what they're interested in. And I say, good, good.
Katie, I would like to share a story with you, and of going into a company just to do an introductory session on the work. It wasn't more than 3 hours. And this company realized in that 3 hours that, first of all, it was amazing. It was as if a common collective intelligence arose after doing the work.
Yes.
And they realized they didn't have proper systems in place.
Yes.
And the curious thing is, the person that was most agitated about the fact that there were no proper systems, the following week he almost gave himself up, that he had been stealing from the company.
Yes.
But there's another curious twist to this, is that the company, a few months down the line, actually took him back.
Of course.
And they put him in another place where the same kind of error could not be committed.
Yes.
But overall, they just showed a wonderful compassion and compassionate intelligence
Yes.
with regard to what they discovered. And this was just a 3-hour exposure to the work.
Yes. It's a wonderful thing, isn't it?
Yes. But Katie, there's a story that you told us, and I think it's mentioned in Loving What Is, and I would like you to repeat it, about how through the work it was discovered that a woman was not in the right position. Could you tell that story?
I have a story like
Yes.
that. On a woman that was not productive, and everyone loved her, and she was not qualified to sit in that position. They were missing phone calls. She was the operator, the one that collects all of the calls and sends them through. And she had a very happy voice. Everyone cared about her, and she was not qualified at all. And so, as I discovered this, as everyone began to discover this, as she began to discover this, the owner of the company said, well, I can't fire her. She has these children, and that just would not be, I just can't do that. How can I do that? And I said, well, sweetheart, it's very simple. You have someone in place you're paying this wonderful salary to. Continue to pay her salary. Fire her, send her home, and continue to pay her. But don't pay her for something that's not honest. Hire someone else, pay them, and continue to send her a check and buy off your own guilt. And then he could hear that. So he did fire her. Everyone celebrated. Profits rise again, of course. And she went home and was extremely bitter. This person he saw, like his sister, his friend, this dear, dear woman, became just this very, very unhappy woman, filed a lawsuit, lost it. And he was shocked at who he saw there. So, interesting thing.
So the whole process is not about, in the workplace, becoming a doormat, just letting things ride.
It's about integrity. Being honest. If I hire someone to do a job and they're not qualified, and I'm supporting a lot of people with the profits, and I see that that person is not qualified, then I'm costing everyone with my lack of integrity. So I can put that person in a different situation where they all are qualified, or I can fire them and put someone in who is qualified, and the company's healthy. The people that work for me are healthy, their families are healthy, and it's a healthier community. And then this person, when we fire them, it frees them up to find a job that they are qualified for.
It would appear that when we are confused, we may not want to fire someone because we want to always be the nice guy. And yet we are actually not the nice guy, but within we are resentful towards the person that's not being productive.
Yes.
We are full of rage.
Yes.
And so we do things in a very confused way, and the work brings that clarity to our actions.
We see them as taking advantage of us, and the truth is, it's not true. We're taking advantage of ourselves. We have in place someone that's not qualified, and it's very dishonest. And the effects will show everywhere. If we do it with one, we overlook it all over the system. So then we wonder why our companies go bankrupt. And wonderful, qualified people lose their jobs because of it.
Katie, within our own country here in South Africa, it appears that we have a very strong culture of blame. It's got to do with our racial past as well. And so we have white managers, management companies feeling fearful because we have an affirmative action policy by government that black people be given greater opportunity. But there's the perception that black people are inefficient, they're not responsible, they're not adequately trained or skilled, and that's going to lead to spiraling downward profits. And on the other spectrum, there are black people with their history of subjugation in this country, full of resentment that these big corporations are all owned by white people. So, and no one's really, it appears, doing deep conflict resolution. The conflict resolution is always superficial. We're putting out this fire and another one is arising somewhere else. What are your thoughts on the work in relation to this innovating culture of blame, of being victims? Everyone's feeling that they're a victim.
Yeah. Well, basically to question what we believe. But if, this system, for example, you have to hire so many blacks. When you look at any human being, some of us, we could say the way people judge intelligence, because we're illiterate maybe, does not mean we are not just super, incredibly intelligent. But if we project that, for example, blacks are not, then we don't take the time to teach. We don't take the time to see how they will fit that position. But who would I be without my story? It's obvious to see when someone is bright if you give them half the chance. So you take them in and you train them. And if they don't fit, if they can't pull the job off, have you done everything you can do to teach the person that position? And if you haven't, try again. And if you have, then move them somewhere else and put someone in that spot. Until finally, we're all educated and we all have equal opportunity. But it begins with me personally as an employer or as an employee. If I'm an employee and you put me in a position I'm not qualified for, and I've done my very best to learn it, and I can't, it's my responsibility to say, this I'm not good at this. I've tried everything, and I feel that I'm costing you. And let's find another position for me. Because no one's happy in the space that they're not qualified. Not the employer, not the employee.
Yes. Katie, it's also my experience that the work brings out motivation. It doesn't push motivation into your face. Can you perhaps say a bit more about that?
It just kind of surfaces as we question what we believe. When we begin to know ourselves, which is what these questions reveal vividly, then we begin to understand others. And motivation, it's an interesting thing. It's unlimited when when it feels right and it's good and we're not taking advantage of other people. But motivation to get it done at any cost it's hell to live that way, and it's definitely not productive.
Yes.
Short-lived.
Many companies report that they periodically send their employees or they invite a motivational speaker. But there seems to be a growing awareness now that that kind of motivational program is actually very stressful. I mean, this is what companies actually report to me, when I do have the occasion to visit some of them. They find it stressful. It works people up for a few days.
It's like, you could do it, you can do it, you can do it. And inside of a lot of us are going, how? Just wanting to, and being inspired is not enough if we're not qualified to pull that off. Then we feel like failures.
Katie, we're talking about the corporate world, the business world, and the work bringing about a turnaround in relationships, in productivity.
Yes.
But I would imagine that the corporate world is not the only workspace. Our schools are also workplaces.
Yes.
And any thoughts on how you envisage the work going into the schools?
Well, I've taken the work into several schools, and one that comes to mind is, you said the word school, is in Los Angeles, in an area, actually a ghetto area, and they were thrilled that I would come because they say people have absolutely stopped coming because they're frightened just to step foot on those campuses. And of course, I walked into that state, into those, walked through the gates, and it was marvelous. These students are bright and funny and fun, and they have the greatest shticks and walks, and they're these frightening, terrible human beings that I worked with. They were dear, and they were tears, and they were inspired. They sat with their classmates, and I gave them the 4 questions and turnaround. I did a demonstration, and then let them work with one concept that they got to choose from what they had written, and to facilitate the work with each other, and switch, and then facilitate the work with each other. And oh my goodness, anyone that says that these children are not bright and intelligent, have or are fearful, or someone to be afraid of, they're just not informed. They're just not informed. They're just too fearful to, I don't know, maybe it's the fear of questioning our own mind, or maybe we just don't know how to do it. Many people don't know how to do it. But if everyone did it, there'd be no fear on this planet. We wouldn't be frightened of each other. We'd be respecting each other for the reality that we show each other as we live, not what I think the reality is of you before I've even met you.
A big cry in our schools now is that there's growing drug taking, unwanted pregnancies, AIDS, and so forth. And it appears that we're dealing symptomatically with these things. Are you suggesting that the work penetrates fundamentally, or it can penetrate fundamentally, that what these children are really wanting in their lives
Absolutely.
is their own clarity?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And they just want, as one person expressed it the other day, they just want to drive a BMW, And I just think that's marvelous. And because other people are projecting onto this beautiful, bright person, who they think she is or he is, the person can't ever get through because we don't see who they really are. But, we can all do the work, and no one can stop us. No one can stop it. If it's good and it benefits and we're clear, no one can stop a human being like that. Whether we hire them or not, they'll find their way. But how sad for us that we don't question what we believe, so that we can hire these people and let them support us as we support them.
Yeah.
I just can't tell you how wrong mind is when it prejudges another human being. That human being that we're prejudging is our own unenlightened self, and we project it as another, and the person we fear is always us, and we name it another human being. No wonder our children are so confused.
Katie, another level of workplace is government. Have you had any experience of taking the work into government?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Occasionally, a government agency will send someone on their social system where they've been financing them, or an insurance company will send them to one of my schools, the 9-day schools, or one of the 2-day intensives that I hold around the world, and they'll send them, and it's a good thing.
So you see the work as possibly spreading through that kind of contact.
Yes.
Going back to the corporate world, it's my experience that the people there are very quick and eager to take on the work once they've connected.
Yeah, once they find it, when people find the way, they just grab it and run. I love that.
In comparison to last night's facilitation with the woman that wanted to hold on to her story of abuse.
Yes.
I noticed that the business world's already inquiring, they're looking, and they're much more, it's just my experience here, they're much more willing to let go.
Well, whatever will make money, if they have an example of that, and people know when they're free and they're not stressed out, that the energy that all that stress takes can go into something more constructive. And there's nothing more fun than mind when it has proof of its clarity, and money is a wonderful symbol for that.
And the work has no moral judgment on whether they make money or not.
None.
It's only concerned with
None.
clarity.
You know, what happens is everyone just begins to love what they do. Yeah. And the money is just secondary, even though people stepped into it originally thinking they wanted more money. The happiness is what they want. You know, they want money to buy things to make them happy, so they learn just to skip the money thing and be happy and creative, and then the money follows. So it's always been backward.
Let's just look at the South African workplace. What would be your sense of how we, who are doing the work in South Africa now, it's a beginning, your visit here, how can we take it in? Have you any, from your own experience of taking the work into the workplace in America or in Europe?
Yeah. Well, I would just, you know, my suggestion would be just, you know, there's no trickery about the work, and there's nothing slick about it. It's just an intelligent way to clear the mind. And each time we question what we believe, the next time that thought comes in, it cannot slow us down because it's been questioned. So we continue to clear the mind, and nothing can stop us. Just to, bottom line, just trust the work, answer the questions, you know, go inside and watch mind love itself.
Yes. Katie, I just want to share an experience, especially in the light of our recent visit to Namibia. Out of the blue, Ludo was contacted by the National Teachers Union of Namibia. Now, again, one of their employees had come to a beginner's workshop a few months back. And it was a group of 8 people, and we went through the work. And they had so much fun, so much fun. And
you know that doesn't surprise me.
Yes. But at the end of it, they said to us, we would now like you to do the course and do this for as many days as you want to.
Oh, that's marvelous.
For the entire national management and committee.
Yes.
Just we want you to take it out.
Yes.
And we also want you to bring it back to us and deepen the work and give us more exercises.
Yes.
It was a response that I never expected in my wildest dreams.
Yes.
But I just wanted to share this experience with you.
What a joy. What a joy. And what can come out of that? Remarkable. Thank you, Kriben.
Thank you, Katie.